Saturday was a big win for us. There's no question about it in a lot of ways, and it was a needed win. Got to celebrate a little bit when we got home, and then it was on to the next one. And that's the positive, negative about this schedule and the way it is at the end of the year with these first-time preps. It's a lot more difficult. Most important thing about Saturday is it still keeps us in the hunt. And right now that's been my goal since the day I got here, is after we won our first Big Ten championship, I said if we could have 2-3 weeks left to go in the season and you're in the hunt, that's what you got to be. And then from there on, it's who knows. As far as Purdue goes, they have been as consistent as anybody the last 4 years, and they have remained that way this year. I think he's done an incredible job with the Wren kid. He's averaging almost 25 points a game in the last 5 games. Really, they had a lot of those guards. You win with guards, and Lawyer and, of course, Smith have been 2 anchors for them the entire time. Wren is playing at an elite level. He's shooting better than 60%. As I said, he's averaging almost 20, but 25 in the last 5 games. And Lawyer and Smith have been dynamite. Smith is the head of the snake. There is no question about that. He's the best. He's probably up for player of the year. I mean, he's that good as far as running their team, getting things done. And they're getting a little play out of some of their freshmen. Cox has been a guy that's done a good job. He stepped in as a freshman and been very good. And Caleb First, who was really almost out of it. He had a shot here 2 years ago at 3 to more or less beat us, and then he hasn't even taken one this year. But kid we recruited out of high school, very solid, good player for him. That's done a nice job. So Matt has proven to be one of the best coaches in the country, not in the league. And Purdue has remained as consistent as you could be. Their offense is even a step up. Defensively, maybe a hair down from what you're normally seeing, but offensively, they're in the top 10% in every category. So, questions I'll take.
So we talk about the significance of when you play teams. What does that have? I guess how does that fit into this matchup where they're coming off back-to-back losses and just scuffling a little bit more than you usually see out of them?
I think what really is more concerning for all of us is when we play them as far as days rest and not. They haven't had much either. But knowing Purdue, if you get them after 2 losses, it's better for Purdue than it is for Michigan State. Usually when you lose a couple games or a game at some of these programs, including ours, I think players know that it's going to get turned up in practice. It's going to get turned up in the game, and so we'll get Purdue's best shot. I mean, they've been a very good team. They've won here some, and the 2 losses aren't going to affect them in a negative way. As dumb as that sounds, you'd hope it does, but I think it's going to affect them in a positive way, that they'll even be more focused and come in more aggressive.
Wonder about the challenge, not just of the short prep for Purdue, but the full week when you got back-to-back short preps. Is this week maybe the biggest challenge of the year for this team?
I interviewed for a few NBA jobs, and they go through different things when you interview, and one of them was the scheduling, and when you don't stay overnight in Miami or New York or LA, you can stay overnight in Milwaukee, and one of them was they called scheduling losses, back-to-backs or something like that. And the big thing here comes down to how much prep time you have and how much rest time you have. And if it's equal, like Purdue played at 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, that helps a little bit, but it's not monumental. But when you have 5-day prep compared to 2 or 3 day prep, those are challenges, and I'm sure everybody's gone through them. And we got to go through it at the end of the year. You know, I told you early in the year that our schedule was backloaded. I thought most of you that don't do your research probably thought I was on dial a clue. But now that you see it, it's not only who you play, it's sometimes when you play and when they don't play. So there's a lot of factors that are created by 4 different networks or whatever we have. And there's pluses to it and there's minuses to it. So like when I said we went out west and lost 2, it was nothing because we went out west. And we got to find a way to win games this week, no matter what the circumstances are, because some teams have done it. And that's just the way it is. You know, it's a little more difficult when it's at the end of the year because you're tired. And I think some things that bother me, the net doesn't know those things. We put so much into this net, which I think is ridiculous, but we do put a lot into it on selecting things, and the net doesn't know who played with 2 days prep and who played with 4 days prep. The net has no freaking clue. But we give it like the almighty, like it's, you know, so things like that, you know, I struggle with, but I don't struggle with, schedule's gonna be the schedule, you know. I just want people to understand the schedule, and most people don't.
Tom, shoot me down if this is crazy, but the quick preparation time against ranked teams, Michigan, Purdue, Maryland, big teams, Illinois, you could count in there too. How much is that preparation for maybe what your team can do a month from now when it's tournament time and when you're facing this sort of situation?
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, it's difficult because you don't get much time off, and you are playing high-level teams. And in our case, Illinois, Michigan, Maryland are all on the road. You know, you got Purdue at home, and but you know, like I said, everybody's gone through that, I'm sure. Although I don't know that, it's hard to really look at the schedule and see who. When you're in the week, you can say, well, this team gets 5 days, this team gets 2, this team gets 3, this gets 2. But you can't. It's hard to see that when you're looking at the big picture of things. So I just decided not to use it as an excuse. It's just the way it is, and it's a little more difficult for the players, though. And I think that's what the powers that be got to see is we're always worried about player health and everything. We're not worried about it. We say we're worried about it, and there's a big difference. And it is difficult, you know, but that's the beauty of what we do, and it's the. I always said that I told you it was going to be backloaded. I told you why I thought it was going to be backloaded. That's a privilege. If we're one of those marquee teams, not just maybe in a given year, but because of the brand that we've established over 20 years, hey, that's a privilege for us, and we got to live with that. And so, you know, ask me questions about Purdue, the schedules I can't control, and nobody's going to change it. And at the end of the year, I think there will be discussions on 5-day preps, 4-day preps, 3-day preps. They want to stay away from, you know, they don't want to have 1-day preps. That's one thing, but they don't look at it. It's not just prep time, it's rest time. And so they're going to have to look at that kind of stuff at the end of the year.
Tom, if we can go back to Saturday just for some reflection. Your team took a heavyweight punch to the mouth. I couldn't describe it any other way from what I saw. They came back. Want to know how you feel about that? And secondly, the fact that they were able to help you reach this new milestone. How do you think they felt as a team, not being able to do it at home when it seemed like it would have been so apropos, but then still being able to do it that kind of way in that kind of environment? How do you think your team felt about
As
that?
far as the punch in the mouth, we did get punched in the mouth, but it was a strange punch in the mouth. They hit some really good shots. I mean, right off the bat, we turned the ball over the first time, throwing it right to a guy. And then they hit, you know, and the place was electric. Those of you that were there, it was celebrating Shannon's jersey retirement and things like that. That's another privilege for us, you know. We are the marquee team in some ways. You know, John Wooden, they named the court after him. I mean, it's a pain in my butt, but it's a great privilege and honor for my program. And that's the way I look at that. So I wasn't as concerned. I mean, we were 10 down. When it got to 16, I mean, it was a weird way it happened. but I wasn't over panicking that. It just didn't hit me that way. In fact, in one huddle I said, let's cut it down to 10. I think it was at 14. Let's cut it under 10 by halftime, and we were way under that, you know. And once we started playing better, we execute better. Our defense, you know, improved a little bit in some areas, and what it was like for the players. I'm gonna say it one time and only one time. It's time to move on, but it ended up a big deal for me. It ended up a neat deal. It wasn't something I woke up every morning and said, "Oh man, can I get this thing?" But I don't know what the players thought of. I do not know. I did not talk to them very much about it, except, hey, that has to do with you and me as far as our futures go. It has nothing to do with the present. And so looking at them in the locker room, looking at them when we got back here, I think it was a bigger deal to them than I thought. But it wasn't a bigger deal to me, as I said a few times. Bob, looking down, can keep the record if I can have his 2 Final Four, or his 2 national championships. And I mean that. But I'm sure when I'm done, it'll be something that I'll look at as a hell of an honor. I will look at it as a player to say that all 148 players that played for me during that time will think they have some ownership in it, because they do. I mean, somebody played. Kobe Williman helped us win a game. He was a walk-on. Now he's going to be a doctor. Probably going to operate on my brain or my heart, one of the two, and that's good. But he actually had an impact. If he believes that, then I've accomplished everything I want to accomplish here. And that's why players take some ownership in the team and in the program. And if they take ownership in the program, we're an incredibly lucky institution. And that's what I have to say about that. It's over. Nothing more to celebrate, not a lot more to talk about. When I'm done, we can talk about it all, you know. But right now, we have a record at Michigan State provided by the 148 players, the 6 million fans, the presidents and ADs, and everybody else that was a part of it, that we'll celebrate either the day I quit or die. And whatever one they want to celebrate it on, we'll celebrate it, and it'll be awesome all over the screens. It'll be cool. Right now, it's all Purdue.
Coach, you mentioned Purdue's consistency, and you know they've been the team to beat in recent years in this conference, which of course you've been familiar with for many of your years here. What are maybe some similarities between what they're doing and the culture you've built?
Well, they had a little deal. They had some coaches that commented on the win, and of course, when I think of Purdue, I think of Gene Cady, I think of Bruce Weber, and I think of Matt Painter. And when I think of Michigan State, I think of Gus and Judd and me. And it's pretty cool that the similarities between our programs, I think we believe in doing it the same way, the right way. I think we believe in the toughness. I mean, you go down there, it is a hard hat, you know, and I think Matt has done an incredible job. I mean, there's no question. All he's got to do is hang tight a few years and he'll break Bob's record. That was my record. And I think he will do that because he's a damn good coach and a really good guy. And what Judd Heathcote, Gene Cady, Bruce Weber, Matt Painter, Tom Izzo, we've all tried to do more for the game of basketball than our teams. Matt has been incredible on all the committees he's been on. Now, we haven't succeeded, but we fought the fight. And so there's not a program I respect more than Purdue. A lot of good programs in our league, a lot of good programs in the country, but it's been since I was a GA. Not old school or new school, as I say, right school. They've done it the right way, they do it the right way. I have nothing but great things to say, and I'll be happy as hell when the game's over, because I don't like respecting people that much that I have to play against, but I do. And it's been earned, and it's been earned throughout the eras. And when Gene Cady called and congratulated, I mean, that to me means more than anything, because He's the godfather that's left standing. You know, that been in the league a long time. Judd and Bob are gone, and Gene is. I really don't think God wants to deal with Gene yet. You know, to be very honest with you.
Matt?
Jaden didn't had a quiet first half scoreless, but how important was that stretch there? I think he scored 8 straight on his own, hit a couple of free throws, jumper, a couple of layups for your senior captain to hang in there and keep you guys in the game.
You know, Jaden Akins is still really, really, really important to us. Number one, he doesn't get credit for what he's, you know, I got a text from Max Christie, and I remember talking to Magic out in California, and he said, well, you know, we're going to miss most about Max is he's become one of our best defensive players. And nobody thought that when Max came here, and nobody thought that when Jaden came. Jaden has really played solid and strong defensively. He's really done a lot of things. When he scores, we're a better team. There's no question about that we need him to score. And in that stretch, that, you know, was the difference in the game. I mean, he had a couple good plays. Richardson had a couple good plays. And, of course, Kohler was solid as a rock, you know. And those mattered. But Jaden's the guy that, yeah, we need Jaden Akins to be the Jaden Akins I think he could be, which would be, you know, scoring 15, 14, 16 points. His defense has definitely significantly improved. It was better last year, but it's very good this year, and we'll go from there.
Excuse me. Something we've heard in the locker room consistently all year is your players saying, you know, we haven't done anything or we haven't won anything here like this group. So now that you're in a conference title race a couple weeks to go, how equipped do you think this team is to be in this position where there are things up for grabs still and there's pressure and big games coming up? Just how equipped are they to handle being in a race like this at the end of the season, do you think? What are those things you want to see?
Well, I think they're equipped to handle it. I think we've got our work cut out because, I don't know, I think we got the toughest schedule left. If you looked at ranked teams and where we play and prep day, if you look at all the things, I don't know, I'm not a Vegas guy, but I would think that we have the toughest odds. And we, you know, the Judd rule, you got to win your home games and you got to find a way to split on the road. Well, when you lose a home game, you got to pick up an extra game on the road. Maybe we did. Maybe Illinois was that extra game. I don't know, but I think they know that we did not play our best ball in 2 of the games. I thought UCLA we played pretty damn good, other than the turnovers, but you know, they know that we didn't play as well at UC, and they know we did not do as good a job, nor did I, against Indiana. So I don't think there's pressure. It's not like we came from nowhere. I mean, we did win 13 in a row. We did. We beat some good people. We won on the road, and maybe the best thing is, you know, in our 3 losses, I mean, they were by 6-3-2 or something. You know, like. Nobody's blowing us out. I mean, you say, well, big deal. Well, look at everybody else. We've been pretty steady and solid. A lot of it in a good way. Defensively, rebounding, free throw shooting, getting to the line, even field goal shooting. A couple in a bad way, 3-point shooting, turnovers. So we have to correct the ones we got to correct, and we've got to continue to build on the ones that we've been good at. And I think they're ready to handle that, whether they're ready to handle the teams and the onslaught we got coming up. And strength in numbers is great. We've had a few setbacks and injuries and illnesses, but strength in numbers works. But schedule makes it even more compact. You know, when do you take a day off? When do you know, prep time is one thing. Fatigue time is another thing. You get to the end of the year, you play your toughest part of your schedule. It's a challenge, but man, if you win, you look at it and say, you know what, they threw everything at us with the kitchen sink and we still found a way to win, and that's a positive, and that's the challenge we have.
Just real quick, you mentioned about the injuries and the health factor. How are you guys going into this game? Pretty good?
Yeah, we're good. I mean, you know, some of the guys that were sick are not sick. Jackson had a little ankle thing, and he's good. I mean, hey, we're healthy as far as any injuries or that. You know, think Shimon has worn down a little bit. I think sometimes I think Jace is getting stronger as a freshman again, and which happens. You go through that little part, but he's done a great job. Jeremy is continuing to get, better and better. I mean, I watch him in practice now. He's back dunking the ball a little bit more, which big deal, but it's only a big deal because of all he's been through. So we're good. We're all good. No excuses.
The thing I wanted to ask about before that was, you had kind of alluded to this after the game, the 7 turnovers being a season low, but you get to 2 right out of the gate and then 5 after that, especially on the road in that environment. I guess I'm wondering what was that from your guys that you saw there?
If I had the answer to that, I'd quit coaching. I'd make more money. But we did a very good job. I think they knew, the environment alone, turnovers and dunks change those kind of environments to another level. And we did a very good job taking care of the ball for the most part. In fact, a couple of the turnovers even then were foolish. But we did a very good job taking care of it. We didn't try to force the issue very often. The turnovers we made, throw it to a guy who misses it, dribble it off your knee. But they weren't ones that were trying to force things. So I give my guys credit. I thought they did a hell of a job on that. I don't know what Illinois felt about their defensive pressure, but I think a lot of it was we took care of the ball.
Hey Tom, I know you said you didn't want to talk about the record anymore, but I wanted to ask you for your reaction to other people's reactions to the record. Specifically, your team shared a video of the players dousing you with water when you came into the locker room, and then also of all the different coaches, and the video ended with your mom congratulating you. I just wanted your reaction to those reactions, if you don't mind.
I'll give them to you quick, because like I said, really important for me to move forward, but what you look for, like I don't care if players like me as much as people think. I care if they respect me. I think in the coaching profession, how they got all those coaches, I don't know, they must have paid them, but it was a special moment. I mean, most of those guys are guys I've gone against a lot, and guys that I have great respect for, and I think they respect our program. Ironically, there were 3 from Purdue, and ironically, I've made no bones about that's one of the most respected programs, I think, in the nation. But when you get a chance to accomplish something, and they get your 98, 99 to be mother on there, she rivaled some of those coaches, I'll just say that. And it was great. It was great to have my players there when they showed it, because it was just a small group of people. And at the end of the day, those are the people you go to war with. And those are the people that know what you've gone through. And, it really was perfect. You think of the rivalries. I mean, John Beeline and Bo Ryan, you think of the rivalries over the years, and the guys that we've played in Final Fours, like Roy and Mike and Jay Wright, and I mean, they're just, it was heartwarming, it was appreciated, and it was pretty cool. And so, sure as hell would have liked to have 6 or 5 days, to enjoy one of them, because I took the Perlis rule and stuck it where the sun doesn't shine, and tried to, got home about 1 and tried to start working on Purdue immediately, so I couldn't have the 18 to 24-hour rule. But that video maybe was motivating for me. And time when there's a lot of ups and downs in college sports right now, it made me feel like, those guys withstood the test of time, and so far so have I.
Got time for a couple more, Graham and Connor?
Tom, what do you want to see from Jeremy Fears the rest of this year? Like, what's your hope for him as he gets to this stretch and as you watch him in March? And also, you see teams start to go under on him, but he doesn't seem to be preventing him, it's not getting in his head in terms of not taking the shot. What do you want him to do in those situations as well?
You know, this has been a great year for Jeremy when you think of where he came from. And I don't think any of us appreciate that there were doctors that told us he may never be the same or never play at the level. The job he's done to do that has been unbelievable, to be very blunt and honest about it. The frustration is he's nowhere, not nowhere, but he's not where he was before the injury. Both with his athletic ability, he missed the 6-7 months when you couldn't shoot, you couldn't do anything. What I want him to do is run my team. What I want him to do is continuously get other people involved. What I want him to do is be the best defender he can be, because he could be a dog defender. What I hope he keeps growing on is his shot, and he has improved his three-point shot a lot, and he really has, but that's not gonna come back in a season. You gotta have time to work on it in the off season, as Cleves did, as other people did that I've had. So, I think he does get frustrated at times, because if you're not frustrated, you can take the shot, you gotta make the shot, and you gotta have the confidence to take it, and then you got the ability to make it. And he hasn't lost any confidence, but at the same time, the thing I've been disappointed about in this last 5 games, our break hasn't been as good. So he's got to continue to push it. Now, that's not all on him. Maybe the other guys aren't running as good. For a while, we weren't rebounding as good. For a while, teams were pressing us, and we were taken out of the basket because we weren't defending quite as good. So everybody's got a role on a team, His role right now is to push that ball every time. It's to get us in sets. It's to hopefully get a lot more assists. It's to knock down an open shot, and it's to check the living daylights out of whoever he's covering. And, like Carson Cooper, he's back playing the way we needed him to play, not scoring a lot more points. He actually missed a couple free throws. He's been shooting better. But his ball screen defense and his setting the screens and that has improved dramatically in the last month. We called him in, and he used the word, "I suck." And so I followed it up with, "You're right." And so it was good that we, a player, if you don't think you're doing anything wrong, how are you going to improve? And so what I loved about Coop, he knew he wasn't playing well, and he improved. And that's usually what happens. And that's a fine line, because some guys aren't mentally tough enough, or some guys are wanting it so bad they don't really get to look at it and see. In Jeremy's case, to have 7-8 months off and come back and play at this level is incredible, But I think he's still trying to find himself in some of those areas, and shooting being one of them. But I need him to take good shots and make some shots, but I need him pushing the ball. There's so many other things he can do for us. Just like Coop, there's so many other things he can do for us. And then there's guys like, Trey and Jace and Jaden. I gotta be able to make shots. Everybody's got a role. Everybody's got a thing they do well, and they gotta do well.
Tom, I wanted to revisit Jaden for a minute. I remember after you guys came back from California, I asked about him sort of being that go-to guy, that stretch he had where he scores, and he is that go-to guy and kind of gives you guys that balance. How important is it for him to maybe feel that and get that sort of confidence?
Yeah, I think Jaden puts a lot of pressure on himself. It's one of the things I love about him. It's one of the things that's hard. He came into this senior year, and if you remember, was shooting, I don't know, is it possible to shoot a negative percentage, but he was shooting real low, remember? And guy works harder than anybody in this room, including me. He works at his game. He just struggled, I think, with the pressure of not being the guy. I think some guys struggle with the pressure of being a senior and what happens after this, if it's not clear cut, as it was for most of us in college, Some of us picked real jobs, some of you guys just picked, jobs, I mean, let's face it, but all kidding aside, we need Jaden, and Jaden needs to play well for how hard he's worked and what he's done. And he's been more solid than you think. I just need him above solid, and I think he wants to be above that. And I have all the faith that he's going to work his way to that.
We'll go one last one, Fred.
Did you see that kind of offensive game coming out of Jackson Kohler? How do you bottle it? And in addition to the points he scored, he seemed to play with a swagger. And what can that do for you?
I thought he played with a toughness. I thought he went in and tried to get every rebound. I thought he, you hit a couple threes. Did I see that? I could see one or two. I couldn't see 3 or 4. But every shot he took was a good shot. And nice to see him get some confidence. He was a much better shooter. Him and Booker are better shooters than their percentages say. But I'm not sure he's a 4 for 5 3-point shooter. But on that given night, he got good shots, he got good looks, he did a good job. And do I think he can get 20 points a game? I do think he can. That doesn't surprise me. He got some of them with offensive rebounds, some of them get to the free throw line. He had 2 or 3 great post moves. So he did a lot of things. That was the most complete game I've seen him. He scored in the post. He scored in the mid-range ones, he scored from the 3-point line, he scored from the free throw line. That's a full day's work. And, that was, it was needed, it happened, and hopefully now he'll have some confidence going in. I mean, confidence is a big thing at this time of year too, and so hopefully he'll have it. So, well, thanks. Interesting week. Exciting week for us because we have opportunities, we have opportunities where, as they say, the ball's kind of in our court. The challenge is big, but the ball's in our court. We're looking forward to it. Thanks. All right.